Don,
Yeah.
take your shirt off.
No.
Will you please take your shirt off?
Oh, that'll do it.
Don, come on. The viewers want to see you shirtless.
Oh,
Okay, you won't do it shirtless. Will you do something for me?
what?
Will you tell me the Led Zeppelin story?
Yeah, I could tell you the Led Zeppelin story, I guess.
Okay, take your shirt off.
I won't tell it with my shirt off. Those guys had their shirt off, as I recall. Or did he? He had a silky shirt on.
Who had a silky shirt on?
Jimmy Page. Anyhow, you want to really hear the Led Zeppelin story?
With your shirt off.
Yeah, I don't tell stories with my shirt off.
Okay. I don't believe that.
Yeah.
Number one.
Right.
Number two.
Yeah. Depends on who I'm telling the story to.
Take your shirt off.
Yeah. Not you, I see you all the time.
Okay, the Led Zeppelin story. Let's go.
Okay, so it's 1969. Might have been 68. That is a little foggy to me, but I believe it was 69. And Led Zeppelin, I believe, on their first United States tour, but it could have been their second, because they came twice within about a year. So it's in Chicago, as I said, and so a bunch of us from up here in Milwaukee decided to go down there together, and we went down together in an old laundry truck that was basically stolen by one of our friends who worked at the Lutzow Laundry, and they had a bunch of old trucks, and he was just a kid working at the place, and they assigned him this old beat-up truck, and he had the keys for it. So technically, he didn't actually steal it, but no, I think technically he did steal it, but psychologically, we didn't think of ourselves as thieves about this truck. But anyhow, we had this nice truck. It was all wide open in the back, and about 8 of us, all would-be Midwestern hippies, about 5 years behind the trend on the coast, you know. But we were hippies, and we were doing drugs and stuff. So we all piled into this laundry truck and started off down to Chicago to a place called the Kinetic Playground. And it was a converted movie house, an old movie theater. So it probably maybe had a capacity of 600 people or something, a balcony. And so it was, the bill was Led Zeppelin, Jethro Tull, Savoy Brown, and a great Chicago band called The Litter. And they actually kind of stuck out as the big surprise of the whole evening. The other bands were fantastic, especially on acid, which of course we all were quite on acid indeed. And as a matter of fact, we were pulled over by the highway patrol on the way down because we were going too slow. Again, it was a laundry truck, an old laundry truck, so it didn't go that fast to begin with, but I think our driver, who was probably seeing flying cows at the time, you know, was making sure that he wasn't going over the speed limit. But I think we were going 30 miles an hour, cruising down the interstate at 30 miles an hour, you know, so the guy pulls us over and explains that, number one, the guy sitting in the doorway can't sit in the doorway. That was Rob Sickinger. I remember that guy. And the other thing was, are you all okay? I think he said something like that, and we're going, oh yeah, officer, we're fine, we're just going down to Chicago, explained it. He says, well, you're going to have to get this thing up to some kind of speed. The minimum speed, I believe, was 50 miles an hour. Yes sir, we'll do it, and get him out of the doorway. So first of all, this guy stops us, looks at us, and lets us go. You know, like that's the good old days, you know, right there. We're all stoned on acid, you know, so we're all tripping on top of it. So now we get on our road again. This guy was gracious enough to let us go. And we get down to the theater, and we witnessed the first show for 4 bands. So it started at 4 o'clock, and it was basically an hour-plus show. Got some turnaround time. There were 2 stages, as I recall. So it would do, Zeppelin, I believe, was the and then they came back and did a midnight show, and then the whole thing went over again. So the concert lasted from 8 until 4 in the morning. So anyhow, we're getting through the second part of into the show, and I'm already crashing. You know, it's probably, I don't know what time it was, midnight or something, and I'm going, oh my god. And by the way, there were all these ninja type guys, these karate guys from a karate studio probably, that they had hired for security. So these guys were all in their robes walking around, you know, with their nunchucks. This is really true. And keeping everything in order, you know, so that these crazy hippies probably wouldn't get out of line. And they were quite intimidating. So I respectfully went up to one of them and I said something like, "Oh my God, I'm coming down hard. Can I please just sit down, lay down?" Because they weren't letting anybody lay down. He said, "I tell you what, you go downstairs and just chill down there then, but just stay out of the way of the traffic patterns." Yeah, that's great. Thanks, man. I go down there and I lay in this hallway. I have no idea where I am, in the downstairs of this theater. And all of a sudden, the door that I was laying in front of opens up. And you'll have to remember now, this story is actually about my encounter, my 15 minutes, my 15 seconds really of fame, encountering my hero band at the time, and in some ways still are, Led Zeppelin. So I'm laying there, the door opens, a light comes out into the hallway from the room, and I see this bell-bottom step over me. Oh. And then he says to the other guys something to the effect, "Hey, look out, there's some bloke lying on the ground. Don't step on him," you know. And I'm looking up thinking, oh my God, this is my guys, Led Zeppelin, you know. Jimmy Page has just rescued me from being trampled by the rest of the band, you know, kind of. And I say to him, "Oh, you guys are really good." Sincerely, you know, like very sincerely. Kind of cracked out of my mind at this time. I'm coming down hard. I just want it to be over with, you know. I've had enough of this rock festival stuff, you know. But anyhow, that was it. And then they went up and did the second show, and I don't think I witnessed the second show. I did go back up later on. I saw the very end of things, and I remember leaving the theater at dawn, and that was the end of the Led Zeppelin story. So there you have it. That's a Led Zeppelin story. My close encounter with Led Zeppelin.